Okay, so hello everyone, my name is Johann and I'm Wanchain French ambassador. So today I'm going to tell you about our vision to rebuild a new financial industry. So what we've seen in the last few years with the rise of cryptocurrencies such as Ethereum and Bitcoin is the advent of a new digital economy. People are able to trade in a peer-to-peer decentralized manner without needing to trust a third party, such as a bank, for instance. So it's the first time in history that people can trade with someone they don't even know without needing a third party to establish trust in the transaction. So at Wanchain, what we believe is that this digital economy won't be limited to natively digital assets such as Bitcoin or Ethereum. No. Soon, we'll start seeing the digitization of real-world assets. We'll start seeing cars, gold, silvers, commodities such as wheat being put on the blockchain. Why? Well, because blockchain technology allows you to own your assets and to trade them without needing anyone to trust in this process. So, this is the growth of this new digital economy. So, we've had some pullbacks in the recent months. However, we believe that the trend is up. We believe the digital economy will keep growing and will reach trillions of dollars. But we reckon that we are still facing many issues in the space. The two main ones I would like to address are privacy and interoperability. So, privacy. Currently, if you are a mainstream investor or a hedge fund, if you invest into a stock or a company, you don't want your trade to be broadcasted to the entire New York Stock Exchange. You want your trade to be private. So, what do I mean by this? I mean that for hedge funds and mainstream investors to join the crypto economy, we need to add privacy to this economy. And then we have interoperability. So, this is the current state of the blockchain ecosystem. We have islands. We have the Bitcoin island, the Ethereum island. Now, these islands can get as big as you want. If they are not able to communicate between one and another, their use cases are limited. So, if you were to go to a bank today, and you would be able to trade not only euro, but USD, yen, and many other global currencies. Currently, if you were to open a bank on Bitcoin, you would only be able to trade Bitcoin on Ethereum, ETH, and the ERC20s. So you would be limited to the network that you are using. What we want at Wanchain is to be able to trade all digital assets. We want financial infrastructure to be built in the crypto economy. And for this, we believe that we need to be able to trade not only one, not only two digital assets, but all of them in a decentralized manner. So at Wanchain, we believe we have the solutions to all the current problems of the crypto economy by creating a new infrastructure that will support privacy, interoperability, and smart contracts. So, I'm going to walk you through the basic cross-chain transaction at Wanchain so that you can see the design that we are using. So, let's say Alice wants to send Bob 10 Ethereum. So, Alice is on the Ethereum blockchain and Bob is on the one blockchain. The first step will be for Alice to send her 10 ETH to a locked account that's being managed by a set of our validators. Now, once we have received the 10 ETH, they are locked. They are locked on the native chain. So once we make sure that they are locked, we can issue smart contract token called ETH Prime that represents the ownership of the Ethereum, and we issue them on the one blockchain. So what we are doing basically is making sure that the tokens are locked, and then we can issue them on the one blockchain. So we are not creating any inflation. For each smart token that we issue, there is the ownership of a native digital asset that's locked on the native chain. So if you have trouble understanding this process, let me give you a simple example. Let's say you're going to a casino. In the casino, the currency isn't USD, it isn't euro, it isn't yen. No. It's the casino chips that you'll be using to play slot machines, blackjack, etc. So, you go to the cashier and you give him 10 USD, and in return he gives you 10 USD of chips. So basically, the chips represent the ownership of the USD, and you are now free to use them to play in the casino. Once you are done, maybe you lost some money, maybe you gained a lot. However, whatever happens, you have to redeem your chips for USD. So you go back to the cashier, you give him your chips, he gives you back USD, and that's exactly the same process that you are using at Wanchain. We make sure that for each chip that we issue, it corresponds to a native digital asset that's being locked by our validators. So I'm not going to walk you through all the technologies that you are using. If you have any questions, feel free to ask after. And how do we achieve privacy? So very quickly, I'm sure you're all familiar with Monero ring signatures. We are using them as well as OTA, one-time accounts, to make sure that the transactions are all private, if you choose, of course. Okay, so that's how we imagine the future of this new digital economy. We'll be able to trade not only natively digital assets such as Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum. We'll also be able to trade real-world assets, tokenized cars, stocks, etc. And Wanchain will be the bridge to all of these trades. It will connect all the blockchain and it will allow you to trade between all these assets in a decentralized manner without needing to trust a third party. So currently we are trusting centralized exchanges, for instance, to trade our assets. This won't be the case anymore. With Wanchain, you'll be able to trade with decentralized exchanges all of your assets, not only ERC20s, no, you'll be able to trade between ERC20s, Bitcoin, etc., without needing a centralized exchange. And that's what we are introducing. We are introducing finance, an inclusive financial platform that will allow the 2 billion people who still have no bank accounts to have access to basic financial services. And this is our idea. So, as a famous French writer, Victor Hugo, once said, there is nothing stronger than an idea whose time has come. And we strongly believe that this idea's time has come, and we want you as a community to help us build this better future. Thank you very much. So, any questions? Yeah?
So you showed a transaction that in between Ethereum blockchain and
Yeah.
Wanchain. Can you walk us through what would happen if I want to send Ethereum and receive Bitcoin and not all?
Okay. So basically, what will happen between with Bitcoin, it will be the same process. We are going to tokenize a Bitcoin on the one blockchain. So once it is tokenized, you can trade them on the one blockchain, just like you are trading ERC20s, for instance. It will be the same process, and then you can redeem them.
So who sets the
Yeah, decentralized exchanges. We are not a decentralized exchange. We are a protocol that allows decentralized exchanges to be built on top of us. If Kyber Network, with whom we have a partnership right now, wants to build a decentralized exchange on our platform, we provide all of the protocol, all the infrastructure for it to build on our platform. That's what we are doing. We are not setting exchange rates or anything. Yeah?
We have the mic over there, so maybe they can give you the mic. When you give the mic, it's better for everyone to listen.
So just to recap to understand your presentation, you're saying this whole idea is like, for example, I give you my Ether in some wallet that was locked away, and then you issue representative tokens to me. So I use these representative tokens to trade for like cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and other currencies, and also for tokenized assets in the future, right?
Yes.
So in the end, then I change rate like cash out, whatever. So that's the whole basic idea. Okay, so I understand. So there are two questions. The first one is because like, okay, so you're building protocol, which means this platform will allow other parties to become nodes on the network, right?
Sorry, say again?
Like there will become like other nodes on your network, like like different, because the transaction, you can go, for example, when you're like trading for some tokenized assets, you'll go through like accounting, procedure, will go through like law firm procedures. So they will become your nodes, the nodes on your network, right?
Okay, yeah, we have 3 types of nodes. So validators, vouchers, and storemen. So validators, basically, they are for interchain transactions. So let's say you have a transaction on our blockchain. Validators will make sure that the transaction is valid. vouchers and storeman will help with the cross-chain transaction process. So vouchers make sure that the 10 ETH have arrived, and storeman are responsible for keeping the locked account's private keys. That's how nodes are organized on the network. Was it your question?
So to me, it has involves a lot of customizations because you're talking about privacy, then you're talking about like different private chains, right?
Yes.
So for example, IBM is building its blockchain on Capital Ledger. Like I don't really understand it, but I understand it's kind of like the permission blockchain that allows people to customize so that part of the chain is like public, open, something like that. Part of the chain is like private, only that people have permission can go in and stuff like that. So how is this like different from that, or it's like the idea is the same one?
I'm not too familiar with Hyperledger. Our vision is not to have...
about the customization the part.
Okay, so it's for setting up private blockchains, right? It's helping. Yes, that's not what we are doing. What we want is to create bridges between all the existing blockchains. And for this, we have a protocol, the cross-chain transaction process, and we are also introducing privacy, because what we want is to have financial infrastructure that can be built on top of the new digital economy. And that's our vision. Now, with Hyperledger and all these private blockchains, we will be able to connect to them. I think it's Wanchain 4.0. So in 2019, our team is already working on it. But we don't have the goal to provide solutions for customable blockchains. That's not what we're doing.
Okay, so what do you exactly mean when you're talking about privacy?
Oh.
Because that is like...
It's privacy transactions. So you don't want to see who you're sending your money to and who is sending money. So we are basically using the same... Are you familiar with Monero?
Monero, yes, I know it's like anonymous kind of...
Okay, yeah. People who want to send anonymous transactions will be able to do this. But it's not a permission blockchain. That's not what I mean by privacy.
Yeah, okay.
How would you say you differ from Arc?
Arc is building bridges. They have a completely different process, like a vision, than we have. So Arc, basically what they are doing is that they are building bridges for each blockchain. Now, personally, I don't believe that it's a very scalable method, because you have to adapt to the protocol of each blockchain. So you have to change for each blockchain. You won't be able to use the same bridge for Bitcoin, then for Ethereum, for EOS. However, with our method, it's the same process for everything. So as long as the blockchain that we are connecting to has private public key scheme, we can use this method. There is no problem. And with this process, we'll be able to connect with Bitcoin, Ethereum, Neo, without having as much issues as if we were using bridges.
I have a question here, because for me it's very clear when you explain it for Ether. Now, if you take the use case of Bitcoin, I mean, for Ether I understand perfectly how you can build a smart contract there that makes sure that you can lock actually the equivalent of money that you're issuing on one chain. Now for Bitcoin, how do you achieve that? That's the first question. And secondly, now if we take another asset that has a real counterparty in life, you were mentioning wheat and commodities in general, how do you see that in your decentralized speech?
Okay. So Bitcoin is using scripting language. So you're right, it's not the same process. However, what we are using is secure multi-party computing. So what we do with this is that we are able to manage accounts on Ethereum or Bitcoin. So I'm not too familiar with the technical process, but we don't really need the language that you are integrating to have smart contract features. Because what we'll be using is, on the one blockchain, we have validators that will keep a private key. Now, are you familiar? Like, I'm going to explain very quickly. We are using secure multi-party computing, so we are splitting a private key between a set of validators that are based on the Wanchain blockchain. So we are not too dependent on a platform having smart contract or scripting language. Like, that doesn't affect our way of doing it. Is it okay? And the second question was, sorry.
Was related to commodities. You were mentioning commodities in general and real world assets.
Okay. So there are already tokenized commodities on the Ethereum blockchain. So in the end, what we believe is that it will be like trading ERC20s. We'll be trading. There is already Power Ledger, for instance, which is tokenizing renewable energy shares.
So, but here you agree that you will have a custodian somewhere that will be the one that can do the redeem between the token and the real asset.
It will be a smart contract.
But I mean, like when you talk about real world asset, like when we mentioned cars, whatever,
Yeah.
someone has to be making sure that there is no two tokens for one asset, right?
There has to be an audit, of course, of the smart contract. But once it's on the blockchain, the code is the law. We won't need you, like.
Sure, but at the end you don't know if the car exists.
Uh,
You have
so
tokenized the car. Let's say tomorrow I go and I say, well, this token represents
we
my
have
car.
to make an audit, of course. Yeah, like there has to be a third party to establish the trust in the beginning. However, to trade this token, once it's on the blockchain, it's valid. We don't need the third party anymore.
Of course, but you need to know if I haven't crashed the car or if I
Yeah,
haven't.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
All right. Why Wanchain? What the word Wanchain mean?
Oh, Wanchain. Okay, so one is wide area network. So wide area network. If you are doing computer science studies, before the internet, we had intranets. So we had closed networks which were not able to communicate between one and another. So what we want is to build the internet of blockchain. We want to connect all the closed networks which are blockchains right now. And also one means 1,000 in Chinese, so 1,000 chains.
Any other question?
Well, I would like to ask, because you are still here, do you have any identification regarding like who, like between the two users or like multiple users that you are making the exchange? So I will not be able to do like myself or like a whole loop, like a circle loop with just myself. And where I will do that is, I mean, you're still locking it, but I still believe that there is a timeline between the transactions, so I can actually just make free money just by looping myself between the two transactions myself.
Like you mean that you want to send, you want Alice to send to Alice
Yes.
tokens and then
Yes.
to send back.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, exactly. Yes.
But you're gonna pay transaction fees and it's not going to break anything. So you can go ahead, but
Well, but in between then, if I can trigger actually the timeline when it's actually, let's say, like increasing or decreasing, of course I will always trigger like when it's increasing, then I can actually make money. Just, of course, I don't know what is your transaction. I believe if I trained enough money, maybe I can, well, I mean, is a transaction in real time, the whole loop? Like, because then if there is some time in between you lock and you release the money to the other person, I can actually trigger enough time to actually make money just myself, just creating something.
yeah, no, it's.
You understand?
Yeah, I understand. Like that's why we have 3 sets of validators, like to make sure that no one is trying these tricks on us.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe one last word, and so.
Yeah, so we are trying, like we are creating currently a developer community with Wanchain. We are also starting to be a lot more active in Europe, so we are going to do meetups, workshops, maybe hackathons in the future. So if you have any ideas to present us, don't hesitate.